Hi, and welcome to Bourbon Turntable. We're the show where we blend the love of whiskey with the love of music. Tonight, I am joined by Drew Crowley. How you doing, Drew?
Howdy, doing good, man. How about yourself?
Good. Wonderful evening here. And by Benjamin Eves. How are you doing, Ben?
Doing great.
Good. And our special guest. This will be our first show of 2022. We get to spend this with Jason Brauner of Bourbon's Bistro and Buzzards Roost Sippin' Whiskeys. Jason, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Kevin. Really appreciate it.
We are very excited to have you with us. We talked a little bit of eggnog and Christmas music last time we had you on, and so we were looking forward to talking about Buzzards Roost and just talking about some music in general with you, which we'll get to in just a little while. But first of all, you have a new product line from Buzzards Roost. It is a Buzzards Roost barrel strength bourbon. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about that. And Ben and Drew and I all have some of that in our glasses, and I hope you do too.
I do. Got a bottle right here.
Well, let's start out, gentlemen. Well, we'll let Jason get a pour in. We caught him off guard. Hey, to Jason and Bourbon's Bistro, Buzzards Roost, and great things in the past and great things ahead. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Man, that's good.
Yes, it is. So you're very transparent about the fact that this whiskey is sourced from MGP.
That's correct.
Okay. And in the past, you've done rye. Now you've got a bourbon. So tell us a little bit about the transition to the bourbon and what's different about this one in the process than what you had with the rye. And then just walk through a little tasting with us.
Okay. Well, we started as a company, or we came in public, on the public eye anyway, in 2019, right before the pandemic. We've been planning this for a while, being at Bourbons and learning about all this good whiskey over the years. I just kind of wanted to take that next step and see if I could make my own whiskey and see what we could do. So after a couple of years of trying to get a distillery funded, and we couldn't raise the kind of money we needed, so we decided to start our own brand, which obviously I'm kind of stubborn about the way I like my whiskey. So to get into the market, it was a little bit cheaper to do it with rye whiskeys. I didn't want my first whiskey to be, $150 bourbon bottle. I just didn't want my first one to be like that on out of the blocks. So I got to talking with a friend of mine down at Independent Stave Company, Andrew Weebrink. He's in the barrel research department, and figured out that we could handcraft some barrels and maybe come up with a bourbon drinker's rye, because I was never a big rye fan. I love sipping whiskeys. I'm not a big cocktail guy. So I do think ryes play a very integral part into making cocktails and what have you. But I just never did feel comfortable sitting around sipping on them. And I'd tried. So with the help of Independent Stave Company, we've developed some proprietary secondary aging barrels. And yeah, like I said, it kind of these barrels bring out more of a bourbon flavor out of the ryes. The ryes were cheaper. They seem more success, more willing to accept the flavors from the barrel, and a younger age. So, if we fell on our face with this experiment, we wouldn't be out that much. So, but we won a couple gold medals there at San Francisco with our rise, and felt it was time to move to bourbon. Still, we're kind of looking for Kentucky bourbon. I'm a Kentucky boy, and but MGP makes good juice, so we're sourcing some bourbon from those guys. We've got two different high rye mash bills. One is a 21%. The other one's a 36%. Then we took those barrels and we double barreled them. We dumped them into our proprietary barrels, and it sat for about 4 months in our barrels. And the result is we used 3 of our flavor profile barrels for this batch. And since it's our first batch, and it was a pretty good one, so we're trying to get a recipe on our end as far as which barrels to use for the rise and which barrels to use for the bourbon, because they do impart different flavors. So we decided to use both of MGP's mash bills and 3 of our barrels, and came up with our first run of the bourbon, and we're pretty happy with it. We're actually going to send it off to San Francisco this year. We've got a couple others to send off, but so we're 3 for 3 on the medals out there. We won 2 gold medals and a double gold. So hopefully we'll continue the process with the bourbon and a couple others that we've got working.
Awesome. Another award that you can ascribe to Buzzards Roost Bourbon. This may be the first award that Buzzards Roost Bourbon has gotten. I won the ABV Network cocktail contest using Buzzard Roost Bourbon. So,
wow,
there you go. So,
I'm going to put that in the resume for sure.
Yeah, that'll really impress them out in San Francisco.
That's close. That's up there with San Francisco, but we'll get there. I'm going to take it as a win, a big win.
Well, that's the first award. Okay. So it may not be the most prestigious, but I bet it's the first.
Right. There we go.
So did you have an equal number of barrels from each of the profiles when you blended all this together?
Not necessarily.
No?
So they each different. And I think when we get down the road, we're going to get a little more into this, and maybe we can talk about it more about each barrel that we have and what flavors it imparts on the whiskey. We've actually got plans for a tasting room downtown Louisville. We're looking at 624 West Main Street.
All right,
right next to Morton's there. We're going to have a retail shop, a bar, tasting bar, a couple of tasting rooms for education and such. And if we play our cards right, we're going to have us a little 70-gallon still down there, experimental still to fool with. So we're really looking forward to getting some new make or white dog to put in our barrels to try it from the get-go. It seems to be working on some already aged product, but we definitely want to get it into some new make into those barrels and see what they do.
That'll be very interesting.
Our barrels just in general are a real heavy toast, and we bring it toasted in different ways. But we do a real heavy toast, and we do a number 1 char. So we're a number 1 char exclusively, and we will be with the new make as well.
I like that concept. I love seeing the char, not the char, but the toast, different toast levels and what those do to a spirit, as much or more than what the char does. So, yeah.
It's really cool. I've studied and learned more about wood over the last 3 or 4 years than probably anybody needs to know. But, it makes a difference. It really does. It's an extensive process, but it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Right.
And hopefully you all can tell. And
absolutely.
We put a lot of care and a lot of time into this, and it's just not, it's just not buying an MGP product and putting a label on it and saying it's ours and saying, and hiring hire a good marketing team. I mean, I really care what's in the bottle, and I wish it were another way. You know, I wish I would have been able to start and had the luxury of starting my own distillery, but you know, we're going to make best with what we got, and MGP is a great partner to work with.
Yeah,
it's not like we're taking bad whiskey and turning it into good whiskey. I think we're taking good whiskey and making it great. You know,
Yep.
so that's kind of our story there. You know, we just really care about what's in the bottle.
Yeah.
There are certain profiles that I think are common in a younger MGP rye that don't come out in what you've done with the ryes that you've developed, and that's, to me, that's a very good thing. And quite honestly, we're doing a Whiskey of the Year show that, as we're recording this, we haven't done our finals yet, but each of the three of us had a Buzzards Roost product as one of our 5 finalists for Whiskey of the Year for 2021.
Well, wow.
And
great.
So I think you've got three people here that are big fans of what you're doing.
Special stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we're you know, every day is you know, we're working towards I don't know if you could call it perfection, but you know, every day we're working towards that product, that one thing. It just makes you kind of, almost gives you goosebumps when you sip it, and it's like, yeah, that's what we were looking for. You know, you know it when you taste it. You know,
right. So I mean, I was impressed first time coming to Bourbon's back in April, I think it was, and picked up a bottle of the Toasted Barrel Rye. You know, really impressed with that. Of course, we had you on the show with us at my whiskey den, and went through, you know, some samples of what you've got, and everything is just amazing. And here's the thing I love so much is, you know, MGP, yes, it's good juice. They're doing some really good stuff, but to be able to take that and differentiate yourself from everybody else that's using MGP in a really good way, I think that's a real challenge. And I think you have, man, knocked it out of the park with this, because I'm nosing it, I'm tasting it, I'm like, okay, if I think about, if you were to tell me this is MGP, okay, I see that there's MGP in there, but there's enough distinctive notes in here that it really, you've kind of cut your own niche and your own category here with this, with these finishes, and it's absolutely stunning. You know, just a couple of sips in, and a couple of things that hit me right off the bat was there's a gorgeous kind of a brown sugar note, and then I get this transition to citrus and chocolate on the mid palate. That's just like, man. That's not something I normally get in a lot of bourbons, and that's just a fantastic flavor. And then you get this black pepper coming on the back end, and it's just absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. I mean, we are like I said, we're playing around with all kinds of different samples, and came up with this, and we're still fiddling with some other stuff, so it's still kind of early in our career. I think we're just scratching the surface with a lot of this stuff. You know, there's a few things we can talk about that's coming down the pipe. That's pretty cool. I don't know whether I'm jumping ahead, Kevin, or not.
No, go right ahead.
You know, I'm really excited. We just bottled a French toasted oak.
Love French oak.
Yeah.
I tried that Friday night, by the way.
Yeah, what'd you think, Kevin? It's a little hot for what it is. I think it's a little hotter than it should be, but it's right in the wheelhouse there, I think.
No, I thought it was very good. I enjoyed it. I didn't get to have a whole lot of it, but I did get a good taste, and you can definitely tell the difference between what you've got in the barrel strength bourbon that you've released and the French oak toasted. I think I probably like the barrel strength bourbon a little better. But I like the variety that you're getting in the flavors. Everything has a bit of a different profile, and you know, you look at the lineup that you've got already, and I think this kind of covers everything from the small batch to single barrel to barrel strength and toasted barrel and peated barrel, and then the new bourbon. Everything has a different profile to it. There's a commonality to them, but each one is special in a different way, and I think that's the sign of really a very, what I would think would be a very mature brand. And your brand's only been around for a couple of years now, and I think you're just continuing that with the French oak.
Yeah, we're trying to get something out there for everybody, and I know we can't please everybody, but there's definitely different palates, and there's subtleties to everybody. Like, when I'll be doing tastings at stores or whatever, you know, somebody will like the small batch, somebody will like the barrel strength, and so on. It just all over the board. There's not really one product that most people hone in on, which is cool, which is great. It's all over the board. That's kind of what I want, try to please a lot of people.
Yep.
But on that lineup that you showed, we're also doing some changes to where the small batch and the single barrel are going away. They are going to be the first two on that list. They're going to become Char 1.
Okay.
So that'll be a small batch. We wanted to embrace the Char 1 barrel, and the rest of them, you know, the barrel strength, toasted barrel, peated barrel. We've got the Char 1, and we kind of wanted to be on the forefront of that, jumping into that, and let people know that's what we're doing. That'll be a small batch. Our single barrel is basically going to be store picks from here on out. So the single barrel and the small batch will become Char 1 on the shelves, and then you'll be able to pick up single barrels from different different purveyors, you know, different stores or what have you, store picks.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Things seem to have really taken off during 2021 in terms of expanded product lines. You seem to have more product that's available to you to use and to secondarily age and then eventually bottle. And I think you've talked about going into different markets soon, right?
Yeah, well, we've definitely been trying to raise some money so we can buy more whiskey and thus get into some other markets. So we've done a pretty good job fundraising so far. We're in the state of Massachusetts right now. As of January 1st, we will be legal to sell in Ohio and in New Mexico.
Awesome.
As in probably before maybe the first quarter, second quarter, we're going to start the process of going into like 10 other states. So by the end of next year, Q4, we will be hopefully in 10, 12 states.
Wow.
Nice.
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. We're still trying to hone in on the brands. Like I said, we're throwing darts at the wall, and a lot of them are hitting and sticking. A lot of the products, probably like the peated barrel, will be just a LTO, just be a limited time. We'll run it once a year. We'll make one batch, run it once a year. But, you know, we're trying to get a couple of, we don't want to have too many SKUs out there, but we're going to have a core group that's on the shelf all the time, which will be the toasted rye for sure. And the barrel strength and the Char 1. So those are kind of the three flagships. And then we're going to kind of dance around that. We're going to have a bourbon. Obviously, our bourbon is going to stay the way it is. The French toasted oak will be a LTO. It'll be in and out. And also, we're working on a cigar rye, which is pretty cool. We've taken our barrels instead of the peat. So that'll probably change out with the peat per time of year that we smoke the barrel. Instead of smoking it with peat this time, we smoked it with some Kentucky tobacco.
Oh, man.
Really cool, unique product. Goes well with cigars, and it's got this little smoky flavor to it. So we're really excited about that. So we're just still kind of toying around. And like I said, once we get this tasting room open, we're going to have some new make that we'll be able to fool with. And, you know, just looking forward to the future and gotta love what we're doing and love that everybody's, you know, accepting the product. You know, that was the big thing. Is this going to work? And so far it has. We got to knock on wood to make sure that it keeps going. But we're, you know, in the trenches trying to make sure that we can put out some good product.
Yeah.
Awesome. You're killing me with what's coming out. I'm sitting here
man.
Bouncing in my seat, super excited.
Oh, it's like you're talking dirty, man. That cigar blend, rye.
Yeah.
Come on. I can't wait to try
Yeah.
that. Can't
Oh,
wait to try
wow.
that. That'll be fantastic.
Now, my question is, are you going to, any thoughts on taking some cigars and barrel aging some cigars in your, in used barrels to go along with some of the whiskeys you got coming out?
Well, there's some talk that we may, talking to two different cigar people, kind of not in official talks yet, but it's been brought
Right.
up to where we'll do some type of collaboration, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
We're just not sure how that's going to go yet.
Sure.
But there is some talk about doing something with our barrels, which are very unique, and obviously their tobacco, which their leaves or whatever, which would be very unique.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a combination of something like that we're looking forward to, and I believe we'll have something worked out with hopefully a pretty big cigar maker by spring.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Great.
Wow.
Yeah, we're
Great.
Now, you had done a collaboration with, I believe it was Against the Grain, local brewery here in Louisville, and that was the roasted chicken product that you had, correct?
yes.
And do you have any other collaborations like that in the works?
Right now, not yet. I mean, I guess there's a couple that we've shown interest. People have shown interest in us, and we're interested in them.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, we're just kind of we're growing pretty big, and we just want to make sure we're doing that properly before we've got some projects in the queue ready to go. So we want to make sure that we get these accomplished before we move on to the next one. But for sure, because we've got a lot of these barrels that have only been used for maybe 4 months, so they still got the brand new barrels.
Yep.
Got a lot of flavor in them and a lot of different flavors in them. So it's very unique with tobacco and things. And I think once we get this ball up and rolling, that that's a whole separate market would be for our secondary use barrels. And we've even talked about an American whiskey to where we will be able to use our barrels again.
Right.
Because they're so fresh and full of flavor that, whether it's in a bourbon style or whatever, but we will maybe look into an American whiskey line.
That would be great. That'd be a lot of fun. So as far as the bourbon itself goes, Ben, you've thrown out a few thoughts on your what you're getting from it, or your tasting notes are there. Drew, what do you say, buddy?
Yeah, man, I would echo a lot of what was said earlier, just in the sort of disappearance in some of the younger MGP rye notes. One thing I always pick up on in those is a real tart, like almost like a Granny Smith apple type, especially in their 5-year and below products. This to me has none of that. That's generally a note I associate with, kind of an unpleasant note. I don't care for that one. This one, just kind of like Ben said, you've got the real heavy, sweet aromatics on the front end. Towards the mid palate, I get tons of like apricot and like a dark chocolate note that I really, really love. I have not had any chocolate yet today, but I might have to save a little bit in my glass for when we get finished. But yeah, it's just delicious. Like, Kevin had mentioned, this is a favorite. Something from your line ended on all of our favorites list from 2021. Right. And this was just nothing but a pleasant surprise for me. So, taking some of those rougher edges and rounding them off, I think there's a lot of complexity to this.
There is.
That really, really is underappreciated. If you haven't, figured this one out yet, don't sleep on the Buzzards Roost line for sure.
And I think that's just it. There's a lot of nuance and a lot of complexity in this bourbon that's absolutely beautiful. Another thing, the rye is present, but it's not. I don't want to say it's not dominating, but it's in balance with it. To be a high rye mash bill like that and have that kind of balance coming through with it. And you get this wonderful, for me, it's a wonderful mint note that plays really well with that chocolate and citrus and all that's going on there. So,
when I first tried it, the first couple of sips, the thought that came to my mind was an apple brown Betty, where there's I got just a little bit of apple in it, but there's just some brown sugar in there. There's some cinnamon in there. And that just, when I first opened it, that's what I got. Now, this is a fairly well-loved bottle at this point. But some of the things that you guys mentioned, I'm noting more tonight. I get a little bit of that chocolate note in there. I actually get a little bit of a tobacco note in it as well. So it kind of takes you on a ride, and it's fun to drink because you are going to get a little bit something different as you sip through it. So, Jason, any of that sound like what you were shooting for, or what you think?
Yeah, I'm always kind of looking for those, those bourbony tones. My wife calls it's like, she's like eating a cookie of some point, with this brown sugar and a little bit of cinnamon and chocolate tones to it. But, for me, I've just kind of looked for the whole dog and pony show. I try to make, you'll get bourbons or whiskeys that'll finish up front or finish in the middle and then dry out and finish in the back. However, run straight to the back, no finish at all. However, I'm looking for that front, middle, back. I'm looking for the whole car wash, man. The whole, the whole dog and pony show. I want it to wash over you, and I want there to be something different in every step of it. And whether it's building complexity or not, I just want this to be one full experience. I want it to be viscous as well as just, it's just kind of, you kind of say, well, it's complete almost, it may not be the greatest whiskey you've ever had or the greatest bourbon you've ever had, but it's complete. I don't think it's missing anything. I think it's got all the components to be there. Maybe if we put 8 to 10 years on it, might be perfect. But wherever it is, I just don't want any. I'm trying not to make whiskey with any holes in it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think you've nailed it. It's the whole package. And one of the things coming back to it more, I'm getting more of a buttery note to it, almost like a buttered pastry kind of thing going on there. And it just adds to that, like you said, that viscous mouthfeel that you get through this. So, man, it's the more I come back to it, the better and better, and more. It's just wow.
It's almost like some buttered caramel popcorn in there somewhere. A little bit of that buttery.
Yep, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I really love about the toasted barrel rye. Is, to me, there are a lot of complexities to that. There are a lot of layers to that, and it every time I would sit down and drink it, I would get different notes almost every sip, and that's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to drink something like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Every time I've gone back to that bottle, it's like coming back to something fresh, coming back to something new.
Yeah, that's good. Well, we will start wrapping up side A here, and hope everybody's enjoyed the conversation with Jason about Buzzards Roost.
Yeah.
And if you have the opportunity, make sure you pick up a bottle of some of their product, anything that you can get your hands on. But right now, we're talking about this barrel strength rye, or barrel strength bourbon. Barrel strength rye is great too. There are 2 or 3 different versions of that, and each one's a little different, and there's a couple of them that just knock your socks off. But we'll be wrapping up side A of the show here, and when we flip it over to side B, we'll be talking with Jason about what music he likes, and we'll see how that shakes out with what we like, and just see a little bit more about what were his first albums, what were his first concerts, the same kind of things that we have done here on the show with each other as well. So we'll be wrapping up this side right now, and before we do that, I want to talk with you a little bit about Bourbon's Bistro. Now, Bourbon's Bistro is the brainchild of Jason Brauner. It was the first bourbon-focused restaurant in the world. And since then, there have been many duplicators, but there's only one original, and that's Bourbon's Bistro in Louisville, Kentucky. One of the great things about Bourbon's Bistro is beyond the menu, beyond the whiskey list and the cocktails, it's a place where you make great memories. And if you were there, you go there with friends. That's where you gather. Whenever I have people coming into town, if they have any interest in bourbon at all, that's the first place we go. That's where dinner is night one. And maybe night two as well. But it's a place where you make some really great memories, whether you're at the bar hanging out with Mike and Jason, or whether you're out on the patio by the fire, throwing broken Louisville Slugger bats into the fireplace, or, you just got a great seat inside the house. It's a great place to make terrific memories with friends, and something that anybody that is any kind of fan of whiskey at all, they need to experience it. And so do yourself a favor, do your friends a favor, and get over there next time you're in Louisville. And if you live in Louisville, congratulations, you don't have to travel that far. But Jason, while we're talking about the restaurant, anything new coming up there?
Oh, no, I'd like to see some new faces. We need to hire some people. But yeah. But no, chef's just kind of working away, and it seems like we're trying to catch up. Hopefully we'll get a breath here, and he can start running some pretty cool specials. And we changed the menu. We tried to change it quarterly or seasonally, and
right.
So after this winter menu, we'll be looking forward to the spring and Derby menu, and we're just trying to evolve and stay on top. Keep people interested, and it's hard to stay the same and keep moving forward, because you've got these favorites that people like, and a lot of people hate change,
Right.
But you have to evolve along and keep some of those good traits, and hopefully build more as we go down the road.
Yeah, right.
Like I said, we've been here 16 years, and it still feels like tomorrow's a new day, so we've still got almost all the same challenges we had when we first opened. You still have to keep the customer happy. You have to keep them interested. You have to keep them engaged. And, that's just an ongoing thing in the restaurant business, and we love it. And, hopefully we're continue to do a good job at it.
Yeah. Well, you do. It's always a lot of fun to be there. I was there Friday night, and place was packed, so that was great to see. I remember, a little over a year ago, that wasn't the case, and
Right.
So glad to see that people are coming back out. The COVID stuff is hopefully in the rearview mirror for everybody, and we don't have to worry about that anymore. We can just go out and enjoy a good time, and hopefully see you at Buzzards or at Bourbon's Bistro drinking some Buzzards Roost. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So let's get into side B of the show. And we want to talk with Jason just about some of the music that he likes, and what his interests are. How does music inspire him, or is it just a release, or is it just something to tap a toe to? So, Jason, I guess let's start it off. One of the things that Ben and Drew and I did when we first started our show is we talked about some of the first experiences we had with music, such as, what was your first album that you bought? You remember?
Well, I think it was what was the TG and Y? Do you remember TG and Y?
TG and Y.
I think that was just like a Kmart or something.
Okay.
Anyhow, I bought I had some money, and I bought 3 45s. And One was Jefferson Airplane, White Rabbit.
Okay.
All right.
I forget what's on the B side of that. The second one was, you know, a Beatles song, which is, or I forget, may have been Help.
Yeah.
And the third one, I think in that purchase was Styx, Babe.
Yeah.
You know, Babe, I'm leaving, say it once again.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
And I have to say that was my first purchase. And just if you know me at all, I am not a Beatles fan at all. I know
That makes two of us.
It's gonna split the hairs all the way till I die, but I am absolutely not a Beatles fan. So it's funny
God, I finally feel like I'm not alone in this world.
Man, way to go! Because it's just to me that's one of the first albums I bought. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So,
but the Styx song, I think you're a pretty big fan of Styx, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think I've heard some karaoke stories, but we won't necessarily get into that right now.
That's
what about
later in the show?
Yeah, we'll maybe have another drink and you can talk about that. What was your first concert you ever went to? You remember that?
Yeah. What's that?
Do you remember your first concert?
You froze up on me there. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It was 1980 Derby Eve Jam at Fairgrounds with Journey and the Babies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Quite a first show,
Tickets
man.
were $8.50. Yeah, $8.50.
That's you can't do much of anything for $8.50 anymore. That's awesome. That would have been pretty early in Journey's career, wasn't it?
I think they had one or two albums. Yeah, that was right when they got Steve Perry, kind of the crossover.
Yeah.
Between Greg Riley and Steve Perry.
Yeah. So what types of music do you like to listen to? If you're getting in your truck and you're driving around town, what's on your playlist?
You know, it just depends. I think Journey doesn't really give my early concerts were that, and then I've seen Buddy Rich twice. Like I was in eighth grade and saw Buddy Rich.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Live on the Belvedere, and went to see him again at the Gardens. Then I saw, I've seen Tony Bennett. Love Tony Bennett.
All right.
Went to see Yes at a very young age. So my taste is all over the board, and this is why I love this fun show, because I'm just like a schizophrenic when it comes to music.
Good deal.
Absolutely, all day, every day now. If I jump in my truck, I put a stereo in it just so I could listen to Five Finger Death Punch. Maybe that's where the beard comes from. I don't know. But
that tracks.
Yeah,
absolutely love Five Finger Death Punch. I mean, I've seen Yo-Yo Ma. Love Yo-Yo Ma. I have kind of a routine if I'm working or whatever, especially if I'm cooking in the morning. I'll get up and listen to classical music till the afternoon, like till the morning session's done. It is all classical because I love getting in the kitchen and smelling rosemary and garlic and onions and all these fresh ingredients and listening to classical. I mean, just fabulous. Then in the afternoon, like I said, if I'm working, I'm not driving around, I'll probably listen to country. I listen to a lot of country when I go to the farm. I listen to country, Cowboy Hat, bunch of country artists. Absolutely love country. And then, I've been a heavy metal fan for, most of my life. Saw Metallica, before they got big, opening up for Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, just the different shows. have a bunch of eclectic different shows. I just go and I just love music. I mean,
Yeah.
all types of music. I just love it, and can usually find something in each genre, that I really enjoy.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Is there? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, are you going to see Tool on their latest tour?
No, but I'd love to. I mean, I wish I
Right.
had time. That would just be awesome. But I don't think if something, I haven't been to a concert in a while. Well, I did go to the Jason Aldean concert, and I had to get carried out of there on a stretcher. I think I actually saw him in Lexington, took my kids, and my wife was there. But for some reason, my blood pressure was off the chain. I about passed out. They carried me out of there on the stretcher, threw me in an ambulance. So,
Oh no,
God.
there's an experience to chalk up.
yeah. And all these young people are like, yeah, there goes the old guy.
Yeah.
Right.
I hope that I'm not old enough not to go to concerts anymore. But my last concert experience was not good.
Right. Well, as I asked the Tool, because you're talking about that $8.50 ticket price for seeing Journey, and I'm thinking of what Tool's current ticket prices are for their tour. My God, I would love to see $8.50.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they're $8.50, but there's just no decimal.
Yeah, move
point
that
there.
decimal on down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
108.50 or something.
No, more like
more like
850. Yeah.
What?
It's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah, some of the down low and up front seats are absolutely insane on the prices. Your very back row at the very top of the stadium, I think those started out in the 150s or 130s. They finally come down to like around 75, but it's just insane.
Yeah.
No wonder I haven't been to a concert. I can't afford it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. They're depending on the venue. I mean, if they're still playing something like the Louisville Palace, you can probably get a pretty good seat without breaking the bank. But it's kind of insane what concerts have done. What do you think about the festival type events? Louisville's got several festivals when we're not in a pandemic. What do you think about those kind of events, Jason?
I love it. I loved when they had the all three kind of, they had the country, and then they had the kind of older people, and then they had the heavy metals. I would just stay out there all month if I could. I'm everything from yacht rock to I mean, you name it, Tool to yacht rock to Madonna. It doesn't matter to me. I love it all.
Yeah.
Now, some of the new stuff, I mean, I can get into some R&B and some rap and things, but some of the new stuff, obviously, and there's always that genre of different new stuff that nobody likes. But
right,
sure,
there's a few things out there that I just really don't need to listen to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a big fan of club music, then I guess.
I can take it for probably about 30 minutes.
Wow, that's pretty good. That's
more than me.
Better than me. Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations. Well, are there any newer artists, singers, bands that you've listened to and you thought, oh, that's pretty good?
Well, I mean, he's been around forever, and I'm just going to tell you a little story about it. I almost had a bottle of Buzzards Roost in Chris Stapleton's hands. I've got a buddy who owns a limousine company that I use all the time, and he was taking us to the Chris Stapleton show that was here at the Yum Center, and he said, "Jason, I've got Chris Stapleton in one of the cars tonight." And my eye, got this big. I'm like, I would bring you a bottle of whiskey. Just put it in his car, just as, from a fan or whatever. I don't care. Put a note on it. Just get it in his hands,
Right.
Yep.
And so he said, man, I'll do that. So I took a bottle of whiskey out to him and all this. And then his driver came to pick us up that night for the show. And I said, did you put the bottle in there? He said he ended up switching plans, and he brought his bus in from, I guess he was in Paintsville or wherever. I don't know if he lives in Nashville or whatever, but
Yeah.
he ended up canceling the limo and brought his bus in instead. And I was like, So
cool.
yeah, I mean, that'd be real cool if I could sit around and play guitar and drink some Buzzards Roost with Chris Stapleton. That'd be fabulous.
Yeah. Now you said play guitar, so do you play?
Yep.
A little bit. I know the beginning of every song ever written.
Right. Figure out those first few licks, and then let's go on from there.
Wait. Here we go. Breaking out the guitar, even.
All right.
I don't even pick this up. Where am I?
You're playing Roundabout.
That's
awesome.
We didn't know we were having our first musical guest on the show tonight either.
Yeah.
Like it.
A little Hootie and the Blowfish. What do you need? Whatever. I don't care. I'll play. Beginning of every song ever written. That's it.
That's fantastic. No, but did you play in a band when you were younger?
I did. I played the bass. I was not a bass player, if that tells you anything.
Yeah. What was the name of the band?
Opie's Tackle Box.
I love that.
We played. We started in high school, then played all through college, and still play to this day. We play once a year.
Do you? Where do you play?
Yeah. We play at a buddy of mine has a big farm party, and we play out there every Labor Day.
Awesome.
That's great.
That's great.
That's great.
Yeah,
we have to crash that party just to hear the band. So.
Oh, it's fun. Well, there's video out there, you know.
We got 3 new groupies coming to the front row this year.
Right.
Bottle of Buzzards Roost in hand.
Yep. So, from a music standpoint, with what you play in the restaurant, what's going over the speakers and such, how do you pick that? Is it very intentional, or do you just kind of let it roll with whatever's out there?
Well, I like it to be a little bit more intentional than not, because you know, when you're coming in, and regardless of who you are, just this is my spot. At times, you know, the bartenders will throw something different on. I just want something. When you're eating, I hate for there to be silence. Just any time, really. I don't dig silence at all usually.
Right.
But when you're eating a nice meal, if you're just going to spend $40 or $50 or whatever it is, and nice pour, you don't need to be distracted, you know, by, you know, would you get something? So I love to play just some dinner jazz music, you know, just something that doesn't distract you. But you don't, you know, you can listen to it or not listen to it, you know, just background basically is what I'm looking for in this restaurant. You know, when I had Clifton's Pizza, you know, we had acoustic music every night and we had jazz on Sundays. So, and that was always cool, kind of folky. You get a lot of different, you know, we had some, the jug band, or, you know, we'd have a lot of different players come in there. A lot of great players come through there. I actually, we produced an album out of there from, called Spanky Lee Live at Clifton's. There's a few CDs floating around out there.
Yeah.
So, and it's some, you know, old friends of mine, Mark and Max Maxwell, who've been players in town forever and ever and ever. And their dad, Marvin Maxwell, great guy. They own Mom's Music.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been a music head from way back, bands, and you know, we had a couple jazz players here at Bourbon's once or twice. So I'm a big music head, just a big fan of it. So like I said, I'm just flattered to be on this show. It's awesome.
We're glad to have you. So if there was a band that you haven't been able to see live before, what band would top your list of this is who I'd really like to be able to see? Whether the band members now are living or dead.
Right.
You know?
I would probably have to say Led Zeppelin, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, never got to see them, and I think it'd just be a hell of a show.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially if it's all modern and shit with all the, you know, modern technology they've got with, you know, better PAs and all that, you know. But yeah, I think Led Zeppelin would be great.
Yeah, that's a hard one to beat.
Right.
It's a hard one to beat. I don't think I've asked you guys that before, Drew, Bryn. What would you think?
Oh man.
Mozart might be a good one.
I've thought about that. You know, I never did see Prince live. That's probably one I would love to see a show. Going a whole different route, Bob Marley would be another one.
Hmm. Yeah, I was torn between Prince, but I would have to say, since Ben mentioned it, I would like to see the Highwaymen.
Yeah.
Be pretty freaking special.
Yes. That would be awesome. See each of those guys singing the Highwaymen songs and then singing their own stuff too. Yeah,
right.
That'd be awesome.
I'll throw out another one, Robert Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Now you're going way back.
Man,
yes.
You're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what would that have been like?
Could you imagine seeing him in some Mississippi Delta dive bar somewhere?
Right.
You know.
In a little job joint, and just
we may not make it out of there alive, but
probably
dadgummit, we would get to see Robert Johnson play.
That's right.
Hendrix would have been a good one.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
What about you, Kevin?
It would be tough to not say Led Zeppelin.
Right.
That would be fantastic. Yeah. And so Led Zeppelin would probably be at the top of my list too. Have you heard the new Robert Plant, Alison Krauss? You know the work songs they've done together. They got a new album out. They did one 3 or 4 years ago, I think. So
I heard one on Sunday morning or Saturday morning or something.
Yep.
On one of the morning shows, I heard them do it live. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good stuff. Yeah.
I like a lot of the solo stuff that Plant has done, from the Band of Joy to Alison Krauss, and just a lot of the different projects he's been involved on. To see him really stretch what you would look at and think from Led Zeppelin being one thing, the way he's really kind of stretched out and done some different genres and stuff.
Yeah. Honey Drippers.
Yep.
I think my all-time favorite song by Robert Plant's got to be "Big Log."
Yeah.
I mean, just takes you there somehow. I don't even know. It's just like you're there with it. It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of his solo stuff gets overshadowed, obviously, by the Led Zeppelin music.
Right.
But, you can't just pass it by and not give it some attention too.
Yeah, and I think it just reflects to me he's a deeply creative person, and that comes out in what he does.
Yeah,
the whole breadth of
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned classical music. What is there a particular composer that you're particular about, or just put it on the classical channel? And let it go?
You know, I mean, it's all. I like. There's some classical I just can't stand. You know, obviously, but I'm a big fan of Mozart. I love Mozart. And, but you know, was he the Michael Jackson of the day? You know, was he the pop guy of the day? That's what I'm wondering. Is there
right?
You know, is there all these other recordings out there that we're not hearing because it wasn't Michael Jackson? You know what I mean?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
Just because they were the most popular doesn't mean it was the best.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, because I mean, Michael Jackson's very talented. Don't get me wrong, but would I listen to that on a daily basis? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, you take the quality of musicians. Like I think, like the guys in Rush are just the ultimate quality and talented musicians. But do people necessarily listen to it all the time? And I didn't really like their couple of last albums and whatever. I mean, And you're talking about Pink Floyd, those guys, I've seen those guys, and that's just like a rock opera.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's like they're studio musicians, but it's on 10 and there's a little bit of ad lib. And it's just, you kind of wonder about back in the day, what music that we're only exposed to from that time. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
What survived and came through, you know, because the media was different as far as just the ability to, I don't know, for people to know and see and experience the music. You know, that's a whole different world, whole different ball game from what we think of now. So how many musicians just played in a little tavern or their little village or whatever that we never knew about, never heard,
Sure,
nobody knows about, but because Mozart got connected with the church and other different things, that lived on.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. All right. Well, Jason, any other thoughts on anything you like in music that we need to talk about?
Oh no, I mean, I hope you have me again. I'd love to. Just, you know, whatever a subject we could. I mean, you know, music's very subjective. So, you know, a lot of people. I mean, you know, I'm sure there's been fights about who's good and who's bad. And
Sure.
It's almost, to me, it's almost like, you know, U of K and U of L. You know, you've got your diehard fans one way and your diehard fans the other way, and you're never going to convince them. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And so I think that in music, you know, I'd rather argue about music than sports. You know, everybody from Yngwie Malmsteen to, you know, it just doesn't matter. It's So it's you know, Ronnie James Dio, God rest his soul, or wherever he went, you know,
right.
And I think Ozzy Osbourne is absolutely the Mozart of metal. I mean,
that's awesome.
I'm just going to try to get coined to saying that he is the Mozart of metal because, I mean, just a talented guy, and everybody thinks he's full. You know, he's not capable because I guess on that show he shuffled around and mumbled and all that kind of shit.
Right.
You know, but when he can go out on stage and just rock the goddamn house, it's like, you know, that guy's got it. I mean, and to write the music that he did, just one of my all-time favorites for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Mick Jagger and the Stones. You know, somebody I know recently posted about a show, maybe just a few weeks ago to a month ago. They did, you know, here not long after they lost their drummer, and just hear Mick Jagger, his age, comes out and rocks for an hour and a half and moves and does what he does. It's like, how in the world are these guys still doing this? But they are.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you take the Ozzy Osbourne show too. How much of that is just, the fact is reality TV is not reality TV. It's a lot of stage, a lot of direction, and a lot of things. How much of that was just him playing into a character to a degree?
Yeah. It is that way because they edited it that way.
That's a lot. You know, that's a lot of it.
Yeah, we were due to see the Stones out at the stadium, and COVID canceled it, and I think it took a year for them to refund our money. You know, they finally said, "Well, they're just not coming."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems with concerts today is they'll put tickets on sale for the entire artists will put tickets on sale for the entire tour today, and the concert may not be till, you know, next August or something. So you're out that big chunk of change for tickets, and you don't even get to see them for in some cases 8 months. So but they got you.
Yeah. And I don't know, Kevin, you know, you just get to talking about music. You got to bring up U2 and REM, and all those guys. But it's just, there's a lot of talented people out there.
Well, okay. When you started Clifton's, you said you were 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
What was the music at that time that you were really locked into? Because that was clearly an important time in your life. You're starting a new business. You're starting a restaurant, which is clearly a risky business. What were the things that you were listening to? What were the things that kind of played over at Clifton's.
And that's great because we wore, we had one, like, it was a 1 CD player, and then it went to 5, and we could just shuffle the one.
Yeah.
And it's like working retail at Christmas time. You want to shoot yourself in the head. But David Sanborn, freaking David Sanborn, over and over and over and over again. And then we finally got one of those 5 shuffle discs.
Yeah.
So I could put 5 CDs in there, and I know Crosby, Stills, and Nash was in there.
Yeah.
Deja Vu, and just I can remember those two kind of playing over and over and over again. But
yeah.
I've clicked on the Pandora here at Bourbon's, 20, 30 years later, and got the David Sanborn channel out, and I was like doing a little reminiscing.
I mean, I can see going through a David Sanborn CD once. I don't think I could do it over and over and over again in one evening. So,
it was for like a year. It was like a year. We didn't have money to buy any CDs.
Right. There wasn't a Pandora then. There wasn't a Spotify then.
No.
You're making it on your own.
CD was like the big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the acoustic music saved us.
Yeah.
And I guess noting that if I ever hear Brown Eyed Girl again, I'll stab somebody. Like, it would be too soon if I heard that song again. Because it was over. Oh, play Brown Eyed Girl. No, don't play it. Or what's the oh God, that's gonna drive me crazy. Don McLean song. I can't. No, we're not gonna do that either.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Brown Eyed Girl, but there's so much more to Van Morrison, and yet a lot of people only know Brown Eyed Girl, and it's like if you ever got into his albums, he has so much great music. Get past the Brown Eyed Girl. That's one thing I hate about radio so much is they'll latch on to one song by an artist, and that's the only one you will hear when they've got a whole catalog of music that's incredible.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap this one up, but Jason, man, we'll definitely have you back on sometime. We'll, say we'll give you
give my unwanted opinion about music.
No, we'd love it.
No,
it'd be awesome.
The fact I got a brother that hates the Beatles as much as I do. Finally.
Well, okay. We may not have you back on when we talk about the Beatles, but we'll definitely have you back on when we're talking about something.
Actually, maybe we should have that contrary opinion and take.
Well, okay. Well, we could do that too. I'm all right with that. We can. Well,
I'll do it. Whatever.
We'll figure it out. But would you got maybe sometime later in 2022, and you got some big news or something breaking on Buzzards Roost side, we can have you on and talk about that, and just talk about whatever we've got going on the show that night. So
sounds good.
Yeah, we really do appreciate you being here. Appreciated you being with us on the Christmas show as well, and sharing some eggnog with us, and talking about some Christmas music. That was a lot of fun, and this was fantastic tonight. And, so next time we're over at Bourbon's, you can break out the guitar and sit there at the bar and put out a tip jar and see if you can make a little spare change.
They'll pay me to quit.
All right. Well, Ben, why don't you tell us a little bit about Buzzards Roost as we're finishing up this side of the show.
So Buzzards Roost is a fantastic set of whiskeys that Jason has come out with. They're using special barrels to finish sourced, which you mainly using MGP. You've got just an amazing variety of flavor profiles. The peated is one for me that I really love because I'm a big peat fan. The toasted barrel strength, single barrel, small batch, rye, and now bourbon that he's come out with. And these are just absolutely incredible. Take what you think you know about the typical MGP profile and just toss it in the trash can, because this takes it to a whole other level. Yep. They're absolutely incredible whiskeys, well worth searching out, or finding that buddy in here in in Kentucky that could mule that for you. So,
all right, I couldn't agree more. I've been a fan of Buzzards Roost since you started it, Jason, and you know, I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. You've done a really great job with that, and congratulations to you and your team for this success. I just love to see how this is really taken off, and I know that you're a Kentucky guy, and when this gets really big, you're not going to abandon Kentucky, and we're not going to be able to find everything that you put out. We're still going to be able to find it here. So I take a lot of peace in that.
Kentucky's first all the way.
All right. I'm glad you think that way. There's too many around here that don't. But anyway, well, Drew, tell us about what we've got going on our next show.
Yeah, second show of 2022. We're talking some 90s rap and hip hop. We were also doing some of our favorite 90 proof whiskeys. So this will be a stretch, I think, for all of us to get into some familiar territory, some unfamiliar territory. So it should be a really great show. Definitely going to want to tune in for that one.
Deeply familiar territory for me. So.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, Jason, do you have social media accounts or anything like that we can point people to, either for Buzzards Roost or for Bourbon's Bistro or yourself personally? Did we catch that?
Well, I can tell you that Jason is Bourbon Redneck on Instagram, and you can also find Bourbon's Bistro and Buzzards Roost on Instagram.
Breaking up on me a little bit.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Now we can. Drew was asking you about social media accounts.
Where can we find you and your stuff?
Well, I can tell you, you can find Jason as Bourbon Redneck on Instagram. He's also on Facebook under Jason Brauner. And you can find Bourbon's Bistro and Buzzards Roost. Also on Instagram and Facebook for both Buzzards Roost and Bourbon's Bistro. So,
yeah, Kevin, I'm not on Facebook personally.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see an account there. Is that a fraud or somebody stealing your identity?
Yeah, I think somebody did, really.
Oh, wow. That's no good.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good.
So I'm off
Facebook. A lot of people
happens a lot. Yeah.
A lot of people think that you're friends on Facebook then. So, all right. Well, okay. Well, we'll have to make sure everybody knows that and send you private direct messages and or anything on Facebook.
Instagram.
But you are on Instagram. Yes. And it's a very good Instagram account, by the way. Some good video and video content, as well as good photos and stuff of what you're into, what's going on with the restaurant and everything else. So as a reminder to everybody, please subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, comment on the posts, and we would love to hear what you have to say, and we'll respond to anything that you post. But prefer if you're nice, but if you're not, we'll deal with that too. So until next time, when we'll be talking about 90s rap and drinking some 90 proof whiskey. On behalf of Drew and Benjamin and our very special guest, Jason Brauner, cheers, love, and free bird.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody. Thank you all.
See you, Kevin. Thanks a bunch.
Yes, sir. Thank you.